a projectile as well. And if you're in it, that's bad news. So the best thing to do would be to get out of your car, all right? If you see something like this or you hear of a tornado warning in your area, is to get out of the car and try to get into someone's house or go into a place of business and then get into a safe place there, which would be away from the windows or the lowest level of that house or building or whatever you have. If you don't have one available, and here in the Northeast, let's face it, it's a densely populated area, chances are you're going to be able to knock on someone's door and they'll give you some safety and give you some shelter. But if you're in a desolate area, some of these back roads perhaps, and you don't have that opportunity, the best thing isn't to try to outrun a tornado, because these are kind of, they have minds of their own in a sense. While the entire cell is moving to the north and east at 25 miles per hour, it doesn't mean that a tornado, if there is one on the ground, is moving uniformly with that cell. It could be doing curly cues, it could be doing figure eights, it could be backtracking and then going forward and speeding up and slowing down. They have minds of their own. I mean, just a couple of months ago, back in Moore, Oklahoma, you know, there was a lot of problems with a tornado that took a left-hand turn. Yeah. And unfortunately, there were a lot of fatalities because of it, and all the storm chasers got caught in it as well. So this is not something that you want to play around with. You don't want to try to outrun a tornado. It's a bad idea. Right. Get out and try to get into a safe place. Once again, tornado warning for this cell right here until 3:45. Very shortly, it's going to be out over open water, which is good news. But there is a special marine warning for all the waters out in here, out ahead of it. Any of the boats out there, you need to get to a safe harbor immediately. Get to a harbor as fast as you can. But this is sitting right over, this just cleared Castle Neck and cleared Cranes Beach, and now it's over the Annisquam Light area in Gloucester, and it looks like it's going to miss the south side here of Gloucester where the beaches are, which is good. It's also going to, looks like it'll miss parts of Rockport here too, but it is going right up Cape Ann, on the north side of Cape Ann. So it just went through Essex, it just went through Ipswich, and it's now getting into Gloucester in the Annisquam area of Gloucester. Paula. Well, let's get Peter Judge from MEMA in here, Todd, because he joined us on the phone a few moments ago. And Peter, you're back?
Yes, Paula.
Thank you so much. And I know at that time when you spoke with Todd, no reports of anything yet. Now over Essex County, we're seeing quite a bit of torrential rain. This supercell very active there. We've had a few sky-warned spotters talk about seeing some rotation. What are you hearing from your people?
We have not heard anything official as far as, officially from the National Weather Service relative to a tornado or a touchdown. But that's certainly something that, we'll listen to. And I know it's something that National Weather will basically conclude after the fact, right, anyway, when they inspect the damage. But we are hearing of a lot of certainly wind damage, trees down, branches down. Certainly the driving conditions, if anyone's out there, you don't want to be out there, because in addition to the wind and things falling from the sky, you've got the potential flooding issues out there, a lot of flash flooding issues in some areas. So driving is treacherous at best right now.
And if trees are coming down, obviously that has the potential to create power outages in certain spots and certain areas. Peter, talk a little bit about, we know that the warning that we had a little bit earlier for, say, Worcester County out in central Mass, that has been canceled. We're really focused on the Cape Ann, Essex area right now. As we're near the ocean, you know, obviously this is a very different setup, as Todd has been mentioning, than our typical nor'easter or blizzard off the ocean. When you have a sort of a storm like this, and then you've got these towns and cities along the water, what do you tell people about flooding and about being careful? We have that marine warning. Relatively inexperienced boaters might be out there. What's your best advice to people along the coast?
Well, hopefully, I know the Coast Guard's been reaching out to those folks, but certainly anybody who is out on the water at this point hopefully has got into a safe harbor, or if nothing else, an experienced sailor in that regard, and can bode well. But inexperienced people, we want them to be in a safe location right now. Some of the more historic buildings, which we tend to see up in the Cape Ann area, many of them don't have cellars, don't have basements. So at this point, as the storm passes through, even if it does not turn out to be tornadic in nature, certainly there's a lot of things blowing around. So we want people, if they can't get into a basement, at least get into the center of their home. home at the lowest spot. Put as many walls between you and the outside. Certainly staying away from windows until the storm passes. We don't want people to go out and try to find other places to be safe. You're better off where you are than putting yourself in harm's way by getting in the car and deciding you're going to drive a number of blocks to a friend's house to stay. Stay where you are right now. This is going to be a brief event, relatively speaking. So as long as folks are hunkering down, we're not aware of any serious injuries at this point, any really extensive damage, although, we're only getting some initial reports right now. So certainly we don't want people put themselves in harm's way right now.
And you're certainly correct about the boaters in that instance. And usually people who are out on the water are very smart about that. But you do make a very good point that in Ipswich, Salem, some of those towns up there where you're dealing with some colonial structures, there might not be a deep basement. It might have just been a little stone basement, or they might not be well equipped to get inside to a basement area with cement walls. So hopefully people will be aware of that and able to get themselves to a safe area. As Todd always mentions, pulling a mattress or something down with yourself and listening to really crank up the TV or radio so you can hear what you need to hear, but getting down to that area. Todd, do you have anything for Peter while we still have him on the phone?
No, Peter, I just really appreciate you taking the time and helping us out here. And, of course, you'll continue to evaluate the situation, listening for reports up there. I was just in the weather office evaluating this storm, going top to bottom through it, checking out the rotation in it and the wind speeds in it. And there's still some pretty good wind with the storm. It has, with that said, weakened quite a bit since earlier on in its journey from Peabody on up through Gloucester and Rockport now. But there's likely, at the very least, some pretty good straight-line wind damage, at least some straight-line winds coming out of the bottom of the storm right in here, perhaps as much as 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So we're still concerned with that, and there's still enough rotation right over Annisquam now where there could be a tornado on the ground or one forming. This is going to run right along Route 127, okay? So Route 127 from Annisquam all the way up through Pigeon Cove, okay, which is over here. So this is Route 127. This is going to kind of mirror it and parallel it as it cruises out through Cape Ann, the north side of Cape Ann. In minutes, this entire cell will be out over open water, and anyone that lives on land will be in good shape. But there is a new marine warning for this cell as it heads out over the water for any boats or anybody out there on the open water. Paula.
And we do have this from the Ipswich Fire Department, Todd, as you were mentioning, moving very fast. They say they have no injuries, no reports of any trees down at this point, some local flooding, but that it did move with a lot of speed. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, Paula, from Ipswich, because Ipswich was on the north side of the storm. So if you look at the storm right here, this is the area that we're really concerned with the rotation for the straight line wind and the possible tornado down in here. Ipswich would have been up in this area where the torrential rain is and perhaps some of the pea-sized hail too. So when this cell was back over Ipswich here, this is where Ipswich would have been, right in the middle of it, and not down here where the torrential rain along with the possible tornado and the possible straight line wind damage is. I'd expect to hear some reports of some wind, whether it's damaging wind or not, from Essex, okay, down Route 133 a little bit in Essex, because that's where the circulation went directly over. So I'd be surprised if there wasn't at least some minor damage, maybe some twigs and leaves and that kind of thing, debris on the roadways from when this cell went over Essex. Now it's moving into Gloucester and very shortly in Rockport. Again, it just came over the Annisquam River and over Annisquam Lighthouse, okay, and now it's heading up over towards Pigeon Cove and also Halibut Point, and then it's going to cruise out over the water. So again, in about 10 minutes, this thing should clear us. The warning is in place until 3:45, so another 10 to 15 minutes. But it's running right along Route 127 right now, and here would be your rotation right in here, so you got Pigeon Cove over here, you've got Halibut Point up here, you got Route 127 that takes you back down to the Annisquam River and Annisquam Light. There's also Wingershire Beach here, which is a little concerning, which is right here. This straight line, this is Wingershire. That's a beautiful beach in Gloucester. So I hope that the folks that were on that beach, got proper warning, got off the beach. I'm sure they saw the storm coming their way. Another question from the anchor desk there? Well, actually, we've got some pictures that are coming in now from Agawam, some damaged pictures coming through, and you can see that it was pretty frightening with the dark skies, heavy rains and wind that hit along there in Essex County.
And following up on Ipswich earlier, they didn't have any terrible damage, but boy, they had some heavy rains there, Todd, according to the fire department. So this has been something. This is Agawam. And the one thing else I noticed, Paul, I just came out from the newsroom, and the same thing goes in asking Todd, boy, if you expand out at all, I mean, this isn't the end of everything. Good Lordy, out the central part of the state and all, this is, it looks pretty threatening.
Yeah, and that picture right there is pretty telling, Jack. If you look closely in that picture, you know, you see trees completely splintered. And it also looked like there was a tree that was stripped of a lot of its leaves back in Agawam. That tells me, if that were the case, and it wasn't, say, a damaged tree from another storm or a dead tree from another storm, or perhaps one of the winter storms. We had a lot of tree damage this past winter from all of the blizzards that came through and all of the nor'easters that came through. But if that tree were stripped of its leaves today, that's the sign of, at the very least, a tornado, a funnel cloud, something of that nature. There you have it right there. There's that splintered tree, and then to the right of it, you see another tree that's completely stripped of leaves, while all around it, there are, leaved trees. Certainly a lot of chaos out there near Agawam and Springfield and down through Windsor Locks, Connecticut, where there was at least one tornado touchdown and perhaps two. I think there was, in the end, we're going to find out that there were two separate cells, two separate possible tornadoes, one in Agawam and then one that crossed over I-91 in Windsor Locks, Connecticut. I'm sorry?
Tornado warning canceled.
Good news. Just got it from Terry Ellison, our executive weather producer in the weather office. Tornado warning canceled for Essex County in Massachusetts. Cape Ann, you're in the clear. There's still some damaging wind possible from the storm. Again, the torrential rain as it clears the rest of Cape Ann. But at this time, no tornado warning in place in Massachusetts at this time. And if I'm correct here, I don't think there's a severe thunderstorm warning either. Just some very, very heavy downpours, capable storms here. You've got one up here over Winchester and Woburn, and also down through Malden and Melrose. This one right here, we'll watch closely. At this time, no sign of rotation, just the heavy rain. And we also have another one right here up Route 3, back down towards Concord, and then also over towards Carlisle again. And this very heavy rain along 495, capable of producing some flash flooding and some street flooding. So again, tornado warning, good news here, canceled up on Cape Ann in Essex County. The storm, oh, we've got a new one. Here we go, another storm right here. My guess is it would be this one here or this one. We've got two storms right here, this red polygon right here, stretching right back up here for the northern suburbs of Boston. And yes, new tornado warning, northeastern Middlesex County and also central Essex County until 4:15. So again, we've got another 45 minutes or so on this cell. The Doppler radar is indicating a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. This dangerous storm is located near Billerica. So that's the one we were just talking about right here. Billerica and Carlisle. And it's moving northeast at 25, just like all the rest of them. Towns that are potentially in the path of this storm: Lawrence, North Andover, Beverly, Groveland, Peabody, Hamilton, Wenham, Woburn, Chelmsford, Carlisle, Bedford, Lexington, Danvers, Wakefield, Reading, Burlington, Wilmington, Lynnfield, North Reading, and Middleton. Some of the same towns that we've been talking about kind of all afternoon for the last hour that we've been on the air. Here's the cell right here, all right? It's starting to show the signs of rotation down in here. It's located right over Billerica, and it's moving to the northeast at 25 miles per hour. Why don't we put a storm track on this, Terry? Talk about what you need to do if you're some of the towns in the path. I just listed and ripped off a bunch of towns for you right there. You need to get indoors immediately. This is a dangerous cell, at the very least capable of producing damaging straight line winds and perhaps a tornado on the ground or a funnel cloud forming right now. This is a fluid situation. It's moving quickly. This storm is developing fast. Go to a sturdy structure, your house, place of business, get to the lowest level there. Hopefully it's a basement. If you don't have one, get to that lowest level, away from windows. Get away from windows, away from doors, and away from the exterior walls of the house. Okay, if there is a tornado on the ground, or if there's a tornado that's going to form and it does end up hitting one of these buildings or structures, the first thing that would get compromised in one of these buildings would be the exterior walls and the windows. That's why you stay away from those, okay? Don't open the windows, just get away from it. Get to an interior room like a closet, like a bathroom, underneath the staircase. Those will provide some protection. And of course, when you go to those spots, spots, crank the volume up on the television. We'll continue to give you updates as we move forward here over the next 45 minutes because this cell's, the warning is on it until 4:15. And also bring pillows and bring blankets. Get huddled in there, cover up. It is undoubtedly saved lives in the past, and if there's a tornado on the ground and you cover yourself up in pillows and blankets, it will give you that chance, okay? It'll give you a better chance than if you didn't have them. We've got the storm track on this cell, which is right here, again, located over Billerica. Get indoors to the lowest level of the house immediately. Reading by 4 o'clock, okay, about 20 minutes away. North Andover, about 30 minutes away at 4:09, 4:10. Peabody, we're getting back into Essex County here, and Wenham again. These are the same towns that we saw issues with. I'm also a little concerned with this storm down in here, which again, as I mentioned, is right on Route 93, right on I-93, coming right into Melrose now, right up the Fells Way. This is Route 28 right here. That's the Fells Way, kind of mirrors 93, runs parallel to it. So it's coming right up the Fells Way, right into Melrose, and on the south side of Wakefield. This cell is starting to show some signs of rotating and may be a dangerous cell as well. But that's not the storm that has the tornado warning on it. We'll keep an eye on that one for the next several minutes. It's this one right here over Billerica and moving to the east-northeast, heading towards Wilmington and heading towards the south side of Lowell and then into Tewksbury too, perhaps. We'll have to watch this closely. This is Route 3A and Route 3. They come up from Arlington. They come up from Winchester, and they cross over the 128, and now we're up into Billerica and heading over towards Wilmington as well as some heavy rain in Wilmington now. And this is important to note because in Wilmington, it's literally pouring on you. I know that. You can see it on the radar, torrential rain. The problem is the cell that we're talking about is a few minutes behind that one. And if there is a tornado on the ground, you are not going to see it. Okay, so just get indoors. Don't try chasing these things. Don't try to take these pictures. Don't try to get a peek at it because you're probably not going to be able to see it if you've got torrential rain just down the road here on Route 129 heading over into Wilmington and then maybe even eventually into Reading. Again, the other cells, the torrential rain from the other cell is pouring on you in Reading and in North Reading right now too, on up the road here into North Reading. So back here in Billerica, just crossing Route 3 right now, heading over to Route 3A, and it's heading towards Reading and Wilmington and on up towards the south side of Lowell too. So again, Route 3 just crossed over. We're looking like Route 3A, and it's heading over towards Wilmington. Again, pouring rain in Wilmington and pouring rain back to your west here with the cell itself. And here's that notch that we speak about so often, that concerning notch that I never like to see on a radar. This notch tells me that the wind is flowing into the cell so fast higher in the sky where the clouds are forming, that the raindrops can't form because it's going so quickly. So this is a strengthening storm system. To me, that's what I see. And on the backside, you've got the downdraft. So you've got this updraft, downdraft, circulation, possible tornado right here, right over Billerica, okay? And it's moving to the east-northeast towards Wilmington. This is a very concerning looking radar. I don't like to see notches like that. We saw one back to the west in Agawam. We saw one when it was over Peabody, and when we had Rob Mesita on the phone from the Skywarn Spot.